Hello and welcome to Prairie Pulse. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we'll profile Fargo artist Dan Jones. But first, joining me now is Sarah Adi Coleman, the North Dakota Tourism Director. And Sarah, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, good.
As we get started, you've been on for the last few years with us, but tell the folks a little bit about yourself and your background.
Well, I am going on probably close to 25 years in the travel and tourism industry. So it's a fun industry to be in, and one of those things that you kind of just start in it and never expect to stay that long, but it just gets in your blood. So I've been the state director for almost 10 years. Prior to that, I was with the Convention and Visitors Bureau in Bismarck and marketed the Bismarck-Mandan area. And grew up in Bismarck and went away to college, came back, and we farmed, my husband and his family farm and ranch just north of Bismarck, and so we're here in North Dakota to stay.
Well, and I understand you're just finished up attending, of course, the State Tourism Convention as you came in for this interview. Can you talk about what that was and some of the highlights and what really goes on with that?
Yeah, we host a travel industry conference annually. It's our division within the State Tourism Division, along with the North Dakota Association of Convention and Visitors Bureaus. And we had about close to 250 people, I'm guessing, at the conference this year. We always talk about the newest in marketing trends and the new things that we all need to be doing and thinking about in terms of attracting more visitors, how we can work together more. Highlights were, we talked about social media, we talked about retaining budgets in good times, which is a little different slant where most people have a difficult time retaining budgets in poor times. We have had a very good environment here for tourism. One of the big sessions that we did was we talked about the impact of oil on tourism. And that was a super session. We had about 9 panelists who talked about their jurisdictions and how they feel it's being affected. And in the end, it really is all about just sharing information so that everybody's aware of what's real and so that we can inform the visitors best and we can cross-sell each other.
What kind of year has it been for tourism since the last we spoke? And really, I'll leave it that way for now. So how has it been?
The governor probably said it best. He just spoke at our conference and he said he was shocked at how well we did considering the flooding that we had statewide. We started with the flooding in the Red River Valley in the early spring that hurt our Canadian numbers coming down, and then from there it just kind of moved and bopped all over the state. We had Medora that was in dire straits for a few days there, and they lost some of their, the golf course wasn't fully open throughout the year. Minot, obviously, none of their attractions were very strong throughout the summer, and here in Bismarck we had a number of major attractions that were not operational. But that being said, we fared very well. We maintained our numbers pretty much across the state, and we grew significantly in airport boardings, Canadian crossings maintained, which was good because we were up so strong the year prior. And the hotel numbers are just still growing.
Yeah, and really I hesitated because the Minot flooding, and the state fair being canceled basically, and I wondered how much that affected overall tourism for the state.
Yeah, huge loss. You hate to lose those major events, but we're looking for some pent up demand this year and hoping to have some record-breaking years again with folks that don't have to worry about, first of all, our residents not having to worry about maintaining their property and standing the flood guard, so they're going to be willing to and anxious to get out and see the state, and then we won't have that negative news hitting the national media. So folks hopefully will be coming this year.
Yeah, and even talking about that with the early spring that we've had, has that made an impact already this year?
Well, yeah, because you've already got your lawn in shape and your deck's already stained and, the house is painted, so now you can just have fun the rest of the summer, right?
Yeah, I hope so. Let's hope so. Let's talk about some of the state's attractions. I assume the most popular tourist attraction would be Theodore Roosevelt National Park.
Tiara National Park has historically led in terms of the number of visitors that they get every year, usually exceeding right around that 500,000 plus or minus mark every year. So yeah, they continue to lead the way pretty much year after year.
What are the other, I guess, popular sites in North Dakota?
Well, some of the sites that are really popular that top the list that people don't necessarily think of as a tourist attraction are sites like the Ralph Engelstad Arena and the Fargo Dome. The Fargo Dome had huge numbers this year. Of course, it doesn't hurt when you've got postseason football play filling the stadium for weeks beyond the normal schedule. But a lot of those folks are from out of town, and you know, you have to realize that those venues aren't just for the you know, the quality of life for local residents. They attract people to events throughout the year. So those are great attractions, and they always top the list too in terms of the numbers that they bring in.
Yeah, and I guess when you say that, you know, is there a definition for tourism that you use?
Well, tourism is really any kind of travel that's outside of your daily activities. So any type of a commute wouldn't be counted in that. But if you're traveling for business or pleasure or a combination beyond 50 miles and involving an overnight stay, it falls into the definition of tourism. We focus at the state more on leisure travel promotion, but a lot of the convention and visitors bureaus also really work hard on business travel and corporate travel. So even as we're talking about businesses occupying a lot of the hotel rooms, that still is part of tourism.
Sure. Can you talk about your advertising approach to citizens in other states and well, other countries for that matter, and what all is involved with this?
Well, our Legendary branding, that was one of the things that we've been celebrating this year. It's the 10th anniversary of Legendary. So we've seen dramatic results with that campaign. Not only has it really worked well for partners where they can see themselves under that brand umbrella, but it's also shown really good results over the campaign and the advertising campaign over the last 10 years. We've seen consistent growth in every metric that we look at. The NDSU numbers show that we've grown 25% since 2010 or 2002, and the USTA, the U.S. Travel Association, you know, we've led the nation in growth the last 2 years the most recent 2 years that they've measured. So it's been a successful campaign. It's evolved over the years. The ad campaign kind of has tweaks a little bit every year. We kind of customize it and try and make it engage the visitor, really is what it's about, trying to make the visitor see themselves doing some of those activities. So it's taken a few turns, and our strategy changes from year to year too. We obviously are spending a lot more online now than we were 10 years ago. We're in more out of home places than we were 10 years ago, whether it's, you know, signage at Target Field or bus wraps or transit shelter wraps or videos that are playing in the Mall of America. We're trying to meet our visitors where they are, whether it's on their mobile phone, their computer, you know, their magazine, or when they're out and about around town in Minneapolis or Winnipeg.
Well, I also know a few months ago, maybe an odd thing happened when a tourism ad that you had photographed at the Hotel Donaldson came under some scrutiny, and maybe a little negative feedback came from that. Can you talk about this, and are you still using that ad?
We can. No, we are not using that ad. It was an interesting awareness. The power of social media, I guess, is what it all came down to. We had one ad that was in a series of 10 different ads that was kind of pulled out of context, and some people were questioning whether or not it was appropriate. And we ended up pulling the ad off of Facebook and just looking at it, because if we're offending people, or if we're not accomplishing our mission, we can do better. And so that's what we did. We did not place that ad. It never was placed. It was just kind of unveiled as part of our marketing campaign. So it wasn't actually placed, although it got a lot of eyeballs on it through social media and through the media attention that it drew. It was interesting. It was pros and cons. People liked it and some people didn't. You know, we had some people that criticized us for running the ad, and others that criticized us for taking the ad down because they thought it was good that we were showing something, you know, different and something with a younger demographic in a downtown setting. You
know, you mentioned it a couple of times, but how much of an impact, and you almost covered it right there, has social media become for you now?
It's huge. We have monthly digital strategy sessions, and we really try to work to make sure that all of our channels are working in the same kind of themes and the same direction. Last year we had a 27.9 million impressions with our digital strategy. So that includes things like, you know, Facebook and our websites and Twitter and all of those YouTube videos that we're putting out there.
Okay. You talked about the 10th anniversary of your Legendary brand. Do you see this going on for a few more years, or?
You know, I do. I think it worked well. We went over the last year. We went through kind of a fresh stage, you might say, where we went out to industry meetings and kind of asked our partners to brainstorm with us about what they saw about their community and what were the adjectives they thought described their part of North Dakota. And we kind of took a look at all that and took a look at the research, and it still is spot on. It really does embrace a lot of what we have to offer. You know, it was built on the research that we aren't necessarily a state of one major attraction or one major landmark, but we're a state of stories and legends. And whether it's the story of Theodore Roosevelt or Roger Maris, we have those stories to tell from east to west and north to south. And pretty much anybody can fit under that legendary umbrella, whether it's golf or art or hiking.
Mm-hmm. You know, we mentioned it earlier about it looks like no flooding this season, we hope. And with the mild winter we've had, you said everybody ought to be ready. But what has that really meant, you know, for tourism, you know, from the Canadians, from the neighboring states about for the upcoming season? I mean, because like I say, golf courses are going to be in better shape, I assume. And
mm-hmm. Yeah, I think people are really going to get out and enjoy. And it was interesting where, you know, you normally would have been selling cross-country skiing out in the Medora area. You were selling hiking this year instead. And so it was just a really interesting winter to work with. I know some people weren't happy that there wasn't enough snow for their snowmobile trails, and some missed the winter, especially the outdoor recreation folks. But we still had good ice fishing, and most of our ski places were able to make enough snow, and so I think people got that winter activity in, and it just allowed people to get out sooner and enjoy birding and some of those great spring activities in a great environment.
Yeah, you can see I went for the spring activities, not thinking about it. It could have been negative for some folks,
yeah.
I guess. Okay. How do you balance promoting the outdoor, you know, features predominant in the western part of the state versus some of the urban opportunities?
You know, we have a three-pronged approach with our Legendary campaign, and this was added maybe about halfway through the 10 years, you know, around 2005 or 2006, where we focus on kind of the legendary history, culture, unique things to see and do. In the scenic backdrop, we focus that in those markets where that's really unique, where those are mainly Minnesota and Wisconsin for us, because that's about as far as our budget will allow us to market. The city experience strategy focuses in Canada, because we know the Canadians come down on a regular basis. The number one reason they come down is to shop, but they also love to go to shows or go to hockey games, enjoy concerts and activities as well. So that also serves us well in the near border communities in Minnesota and South Dakota and Montana, because you may be coming, whether you're from Lemon or Sydney or Fergus Falls, you may be coming to North Dakota for a city experience. So that's kind of where we hit that. And then we also have some national advertising that we do in niches that we know we can compete nationally. So those niches would be birding, I'd mentioned mm-hmm. earlier, mountain biking, you know, with the Maah Dahay Trail and the expansion of that. It's one of America's epic rides, and so that's something we can compete in nationally. Hunting and fishing, we're known nationally for our great resources that we have. So some of those outdoor markets, and like this year now we're focusing more on motorcycling. So we kind of hit those individual markets with the outdoor experience a little bit harder with some targeted marketing.
Okay. And when we talk about traveling, gas prices, maybe it's kind of stabilized, at least it seems like. But in the past, when they go up and down, it seems like in the summer, gas prices creep up. How much impact does that have on tourism for North Dakota?
Well, you know, here in North Dakota, our economy has been so strong. So internally, I don't think it affects us that much. We're kind of used to that. We expect a spike in the spring. But for our neighbors, you know, we want them to obviously venture into the state, and when their gas prices goes up, they may have to shorten their trip. That usually fares pretty well for us because we just market regionally anyway. We're marketing, you know, just out as far as maybe Minneapolis. Some of our magazines and TV coverage may go beyond those markets, but we pretty much focus regionally. So in the long run, I don't think it hurts us too much.
Okay. Well, can you talk about some of the forts that people might see, like Abraham Lincoln, Abercrombie, and some of the others?
Yeah. Well, Fort Abraham Lincoln obviously had flooding last year, so we're really anxious. And Cavalry Square didn't, and the blockhouses obviously were high over the bluff, so you could still see those. But they're working quick, trying to get the rest of that state park opened. Fort Abercrombie is featured in some of our ads this year, and that's kind of one that a lot of people haven't been to over in the, in the north corner of the state, or the southeast corner of the state, rather. And then there's, Fort Totten is a great one. They've just gone through some expansion, kind of in the Devil's Lake area. That's a fun one. There's Fort Union, which, was the Walmart of the prairie back when Lewis and Clark came through. That was where you went to trade and buy and get your goods, and the history there is just unbelievable. So we've got them sprinkled throughout the state, and they're all a little bit different, have a little different story.
Well, how about the Ronald Reagan missile site? How has that been as a tourist destination? Lots
of interest in that. People are really interested in that whole Cold War history, and so that's been a good site for us. It's been strong. Cooperstown has really embraced it, and now they're working on the launch site as well and building more activities and whatnot around it. So it's an exciting new look. It's just like a time capsule. You step in there and it's like you're right back to that era.
One spot we never seem to talk about much here is Lake Metigoshe. Can you talk about that a little bit? Where it is and what kind of attractions there'd be for visitors there?
Yeah, Lake Metigoshe is probably one of the oldest tourism areas in the whole state. The Turtle Mountain Tourism Association, I think, was the first tourism association formed in North Dakota, and it was made up of tourism promoters and business owners on both the U.S. side and the Canadian side, because Lake Metigoshe is partially in Canada and partially in the U.S. It's just north of Bottineau. Very near the International Peace Gardens. The scenic byway up there is just beautiful, and they've had some great enhancements along the byway. Great resorts up there that you can go, full service resorts, bring your boat. But it's also a Four Seasons campground or playground area. They have Bottineau Winter Park, which does a great job with skiing, and they're also going to hopefully see a major expansion to that lodge facility coming this winter. The state park at Lake Metigoshe celebrates their 75th anniversary this year.
Okay. Has the oil exploration going on in the western part of the state and near the Badlands had any really negative impact on tourism at all?
Well, I think partially it's had some negative effect, mainly because people have this perception that the traffic is bad and that they can't get a hotel room. So, we're working with the industry to try and get the word out that there are rooms available. Even, one example I use is Medora. Last year, a lot of people just assumed that they were booked year-round and couldn't go out there, especially during the summer. Well, they had fewer than 20 nights that they were sold out last year. So people just didn't try. So we're just encouraging people to call the hotel directly. Don't go online or try the 800 number, because you're going to get better results if you call. And don't assume. Try, and most often you're able to stay where you want to stay and can enjoy the same activities that you've always enjoyed in western North Dakota.
Well, Sarah, we're almost out of time, but is there any other things you want to highlight real quick at all?
Well, I think there's just a lot going on in North Dakota. We've got some new attractions. I just invite folks to come to ndtourism.com, take a look at our website. You can search by region, you can search by dates if you're looking for events. Get out and explore. There's a lot to do and see.
Well, Sarah, what is the most fun thing about your job?
Well, I think it's talking about the state, and when you're working with visitors, even our travel counselors, people are happy when they're planning vacation. It's time off usually. It's leisure activities, so it's fun. It's a great career and a great industry to work in.
Well, Sarah, we thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to a great season in North Dakota.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Stay tuned for more. From the rolling hills of Minnesota Lake Country to the vast horizon of North Dakota fields, Fargo artist Dan Jones doesn't have to venture far to find inspiration. No matter what the medium, oil, watercolor, or charcoal, Dan evokes feelings of home through his amazing landscape and figurative works of art.
I love these old barns because they're just, half of them are almost falling down. That's the nice thing about being a painter in Fargo is you don't have to drive very far to get into, 30 miles east and you're into some really interesting landscape. Then it's the patterns in the field and the, created by the rolling hills or the way the light's playing off the lake.
Dan originally did some of his own framing, but I've pretty much in the past probably 6 or 7 years taken over doing all of his framing. Lots of people when they're in looking at the pieces kind of recognize where the picture was taken from, or it reminds them of somewhere they grew up in North Dakota or lived or had been on vacation. And I think that that's part of the appeal, is it kind of makes people feel like they're at home.
Dan is the artist he is, I think, because he lives in this Red River Valley, that the landscape truly informs his work.
Worked as a carpenter for years. Ended up going to NDSU. I thought I'd get an architecture degree. I had to take a drawing class and really enjoyed it, really got into it. And so I went to the University of Minnesota the second year. Most of the professors there were abstract expressionists out of New York. I was trying to learn how to paint in a much more traditional manner. I looked backwards to teach myself, looked at previous artists' work. Got to the museums whenever I could to see them in person and did copies of old masters. Most of the stuff that I did was figurative, and the landscape came much later.
I think it's very rare to come across an artist who is self-taught the way Dan is, that mostly people come out of school, and maybe that's why his art doesn't look academic.
When I get into making them, I get a lot of enjoyment out of them, no matter what type of medium I'm using. I'm always looking for a fun new way to paint the flatness.
He could be defined mainly as an oil painter, but he's added some watercolor, and his charcoal and pastels are beautiful. So he's definitely a drawer also, and I think to paint well, you do have to know how to draw well.
I don't know anyone else who draws as well and uses it for such big statements.
April 7th, 2009. A day that will live in infamy.
I think Dan's getting well after this aneurysm owes a lot to the terrific support he received from other artists. They really loved the man. His friends would go out to Bismarck, where he was in a rehab center, and they would go out and they would paint in the landscape.
To have survived it and still have the ability to do my work is, I'm a pretty lucky guy. North Dakota Museum of Art, and in particular the director, Laurel Reuter, have been hugely supportive of me over the years.
I began to think that I should do a big charcoal drawing exhibition to push him back into making drawings, because I think his drawings are spectacular.
She just asked me if I'd be interested in doing a show, Yeah. Grew up here and grew up hanging around the lakes in the summertime. To have a chance to do some different, some large scale and doing some smaller ones, some medium ones, and hopefully a couple of really large.
I want his drawings to be huge.
I think something about the size and the drama of a charcoal is attractive to people. This one looks pretty close to the actual spot. A lot of times they don't. They change to the point where, I've let go of, you know, the photo image or whatever, and you know, and I'm just working on it as a piece with its own personality and its own needs.
The most successful work is always work that engages you, the viewer, so that you have to finish it. And the fact that the drawings are in charcoal means there's no color giving you any clues, but you don't need the color because you fill it in. And then it becomes more personal. It's a conversation between you and the artist.
My paintings are much like my children. I want them to go off and be successful. So when they sell, I get very fond of them then. That's a true mark of success, you know, to make something that somebody enjoys enough to take home.
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Post for this week. And as always, thanks for watching.
Funded in part by the North Dakota Council on the Arts and by the members of Prairie Public.